Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video, doing another Game Boy game here on the AGS 101 with a backlit screen, which can play original Game Boy games, because we're getting low on my collection. I'm down to just a couple left, and I thought I would show one that has a very cool little hidden Easter egg. A lot of people know about this, but I only found out about it a few years ago, and this is why I bought it. That is Space Invaders, the original Taito game from the 70s. It's actually a really cool recreation of it for the Game Boy, original Game Boy. And what's coolest is it's got a secret mode in it. Now, I'm late to the party on this. Everybody knows about this. But when I found out, I was like, that is really, really cool. So the next time I went to a retro event, I made sure I picked up this Space Invaders, the one with the pink invader on the cover. I love Space Invaders because it was the very first arcade game I ever played. I mentioned on one of my subscriber specials that back in the late 70s, Space Invaders, there was an arcade machine in the place that I was at, and I thought, how are you able to move things around on a television screen without, did you have to get permission from the cable company? How does this even work? What is this magic? So I've got a real affinity for Space Invaders. In fact, I even got the little arcade cabinet with the reflective monitor on it that I got that a couple of years ago. Love that thing to death. I mean, one downside is with any Space Invaders game, it is a kind of a basic little shoot 'em up. You know, that little machine that I got with the reflective screen is awesome, but I don't play it tons. And I don't play this one tons either, but I'm really, really happy that I've got this one because of the special Easter egg sort of mode that's hidden inside. So I'll show you this on the Game Boy, how it would look for the original Game Boy on my backlit AGS, and then I'll show you that Easter egg. There we have it, Space Invaders. So let's push start. Oh, it's got versus play. I didn't know that. Ooh, okay. Interesting. The shots are as kind of integrated, separate. I don't know the right term I'm looking for, but as much as I love Space Invaders for the Atari 2600, a thing that's very, very noticeable about that is all of the invaders are basically like one giant checkerboard box that's coming down toward you. You see how with this one, they're actually moving individual from each other. And the shots are similarly doing, oh man, they're doing the correct thing. They're getting the barriers. I don't think I'm going to get him. Ooh! Oh, I got him! Oh, of course I died. Of course. Alright, let's keep going. Now, I'm really surprised that this does not have any color at all. I know it's a Game Boy original, but this AGS has the capability of converting... Get him! Yeah! If it detects a Game Boy cartridge in there, doesn't it give it some colors? I thought it did. You'd think at least the barriers would be green or something, but that's okay, I'm not complaining. In fact, I should pay attention because it's getting a bit hairy scary here. To heck with the UFO, I want to make sure these guys don't get near the bottom. Okay, let's get them. I'll be also very interested in whether or not this version of Space Invaders, darn it, does the thing that I've noticed a lot of proper versions do. And that is, when it gets toward the bottom, or when it gets to the last couple of invaders, I notice they move to the left faster than they move to the right. If this is correct, if this is accurate to the arcade, let's see if it happens here. There we go. So they go to the left at one speed. Darn it, I died. Oh no, we can't find out. Okay, we got to do that again. Hang on a second here. You know, there is a very, very slight color to the Invaders logo there. It's like a light green. So I apologize. There is some color here. Just not a heck of a lot. And again, you would think the barriers would have had it, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to just get over here, do this game properly. See if we can get... I want to see if they do that thing where... I think I might have had it backwards. They go to the left slower than they go to the right. And I always figured that was some... this isn't going well. I always figured that was some limitation of the hardware. It'll be also interesting to see if the Easter egg contains it. But basically, yeah, the invaders, they move along and everything's great. And then when there's only 2 of them left, it's kind of like there's some kind of cycling thing. I'm sure people who know Space Invaders know what I'm talking about and have an explanation. But it's kind of like they can move in one direction very easily. And then they hit some kind of cycle timing issue. So they're ever so slightly slower when they're going in the opposite direction. I always put it akin to how on a like a biplane, sort of Red Baron style, the propeller, because it rotates, is it clockwise, counterclockwise, whichever, the airplane itself can turn faster when it's in sync with the direction of the propeller, and then it moves slower in the opposite, when it has to turn in the opposite direction of the propeller. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Anyway, let's get to this. So there's only 2 left and not die, I hope. Come on. Okay, there's only 4 left. Oh man, they're really laying on the shots. Not going to worry about him. Okay. Ooh. Come on. Okay. No, they go about the same speed. I'm dead. Well, that was quick. Interesting. So they go about the same speed, either or. Huh. Yet if you check real hardware, and in fact that reflective version I've got, that also has the My Arcade. It also has that issue. So that's interesting. So now there's no other versions on this, right? Like it's just Space Invaders, and then you've got the 2 modes. Like there's versus or 1 player, and that's it. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Well, now what I want to do is I want to show you that weird Easter egg, and this was something I found out about through a YouTube video. So this Easter egg is actually kind of cool. You need to have a Super Nintendo and the Super Game Boy. If you plug that in, you often get little like neat, boundaries or banners, stuff like that, things you can do with your some of your Game Boy games. And if I put this Space Invaders cartridge into this thing and plug this into the Super NES, something way cooler than any of that happens. So when you turn it on, of course, you've got your usual banner for a Super Game Boy game, but you actually get to choose here Space Invaders, either Super Game Boy version or arcade version. And that's something no other game, as far as I know, actually has, which is really cool. Let's try out Super Game Boy version here. Oh, you can choose different modes. You can do black and white like on the Game Boy, or with cellophane or color. Let's do color. Okay, interesting. I think this is probably what it looked like on the Game Boy, just blown up, like you get with any Super Game Boy stuff. This is the Game Boy ROM playable on a big screen. That's very, very cool. So that's actually what the invaders look like a little more clearly and up close. So we've seen this, but at least now it's in color. However, let me go back to that main screen. And this time I'm going to select arcade. Invaders are now invading your Super NES. And it's loading. It's loading the arcade game. Now I think this is the one that came out for Super NES as well. Oh man, it's even got like a logo, like a loading screen or title screen. It's got a little intro to it. That's pretty cool. Remember, this is all running off a Game Boy cartridge, not a Super NES cartridge. Alright, let's try this. What options do I have? Hang on. Oh, just number of ships and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's go back. Let's play the game. Oh, no way. You can actually choose upright cabinet screen, black and white cellophane, just like before. Let's do upright cabinet screen. And there you have what it looks like for the Super NES. That's pretty cool. With the original arcade graphics, like the much higher, it's funny to say this about something from the 70s, but higher resolution versions of the Invaders. Let's give this a shot. One player, here we go. Oh, it does all the flickering just like the original arcade machine does. Got the original sounds. Again, each invader is moving like in a row, unlike the Atari 2600 checker box thing I talked about before. And I'll be very curious, just to finish off here. Oh, of course it died. When I get to those last two, does it do that thing that I've been trying to describe? Where the cycles cause the original, cause it for only two invaders to move faster in one direction than in the other. Getting down to the wire here. I won't play a whole bunch of stuff. I just want to get down to two invaders and see if this also does that. They go in one direction faster than the other. And I hope I can sort of really demonstrate it. It's something I always noticed. I thought it was a weird quirk of the machine, even back in the day. And I want to see if this version of it does exactly what I'm talking about. Anybody who really knows Space Invaders, they know the thing I'm talking about, but I can't describe it better than I have. So here we go, down to 3. Woo. Okay, so you see how they move one speed that way? I think it's the same in both directions. No, it's a bit slower to the right. A little bit faster to the left. Very, very close. Anyway. Yeah, there we go. So, isn't that cool? The Game Boy cartridge has this, which I believe is the Super NES full game, in it. Like, if you can plug this into your Super Game Boy, you just play arcade Space Invaders. Very, very cool. As a Space Invaders fan, I'm very happy about that. Now, total credit where credit's due. The YouTube channel Re-Res, Shane on there, was actually the first one to ever talk about this. He did I think a couple of different videos about like games that have got more hidden stuff inside them, and this was the one that really jumped out at me. I thought, what? If I get the Game Boy version of Space Invaders, I can also, through a Super Game Boy, I can play the arcade version? That's incredible! And yes, lo and behold, here's proof is in the pudding. This is definitely the Game Boy cartridge running this. It is not the Super NES, it's not MAME, it's nothing like that. So, very, very cool. There you go. There is Space Invaders for the original Game Boy. Quite a nice recreation of the old Taito classic. But that arcade mode in the Super Game Boy, that's really, really cool. I just love that. I'm so happy that Re-Res brought that to our attention. And others know about it for sure. But that is really, really cool. So I just love this Space Invaders cartridge. I am very happy to have it in my collection. I think I've only got one more Game Boy game in my entire collection left. So this is a high note to start ending out on. So until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.